Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone to another Ref Brandon and the Todd family YouTube video, wherever you are, whatever you may be doing. Thank you so much for making Ref Brandon and the Todd family a part of your day. We always greatly appreciate it. If you have not watched a video in the last few days, I hope everybody enjoys my new Clemson hat that I got for one of my Christmas presents. You can never have too many Clemson hats. But today, since it is a Wednesday, it's time for another weekly Top 10 Countdown. And this week's Top 10 Countdown is going to be about the National Football League. Since we're coming to the close of the regular season, only 2 more weeks to go in the regular season. And I did a video about college football just like this countdown. I guess it's been about 5 or 6 weeks ago now, so I figured this week I would do one about the NFL, and that is the top 10 all-time winningest NFL head coaches. And if you do so choose to go back and read the article in its entirety, I got this from Rick Suter off of thelistwire.com back on November the 18th. All the other articles were older than that. The only one that I found that was more up to date than that one was one from Wikipedia about a week ago. But a lot of people don't trust Wikipedia, so I didn't want to use that one. And somebody think, well, that's not very accurate, because if you don't know much about Wikipedia, it's very accurate sometimes, but anybody can get on Wikipedia and change anything at any time. And that's why sometimes you can check some celebrity's birthday 5 times, and all 5 times it'll be a different birth date or a different birth year, because anybody can change it. So I wanted one that I trusted a little bit more than Wikipedia. So again, I got this from Rick Suter from November the 18th off of thelistwire.com. Now, I know there's only 2 coaches on this top 10 list that still coach today, so it may not be 100% accurate when it comes to them, since their teams have won some games since the 18th of November, but the other 8 guys no longer coach, so it's about as close to being accurate and perfect as you can get. Number 10 on the list is a man who coached for 23 years, and he won 190 games. He at one time even coached the Atlanta Falcons, and that was Dan Reeves. Number 9 on the list is a guy that also coached 23 years, and he won 193 games. Longtime coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, Chuck Knoll. And of course, if you know anything at all about the NFL, even just casually following it, you know the Pittsburgh Steelers are the one franchise that does not believe in changing head coaches every 5 or 6 years. Chuck Knoll coached for a very long time, and then Bill Cowher coached for a very long time, and now Mike Tomlin's coached for a very long time. So they've only had 3 head coaches in about 65 years. No other program can say that. Just like in the collegiate level, you have Iowa, who had Hayden Fry for a very long time, and now they've had Kirk Ferentz for a very long time. So a lot of people like to compare those 2 teams because of the fact you have one from the NFL level and one from the collegiate level that neither one of them believe in changing head coaches every time your team has a bad season, and they both pretty much wear the same exact color. So a lot of people say that Iowa tries to follow Pittsburgh, or Pittsburgh tries to follow Iowa, whichever one you choose to believe. Number 8 is a name that a lot of the Georgia Bulldog fans will recognize, only because his son was a part of the Georgia Bulldog coaching staff a few years back, and that was a man who coached for 21 years, and he won 200 games. And according to most people that know a lot about the NFL, they say he's one of the best, if not the best coach of all time. He just could not win in the playoffs, and that was Marty Schottenheimer. I've never held it against him, because if you look at most of the teams he coached, most of the teams he coached, honestly, really, truly, didn't deserve to be in the playoffs. They were just there because he was a great coach and was good enough to get them there, but they just didn't have the talent to win when they got there. Just like in the late 90s, he coached the Chiefs, and they had Elvis Gerbach at quarterback, and he wasn't worth a darn, but they made it there because of Marty Schottenheimer. And then number 7 on the list was Paul Brown, who coached for 25 years, and he won 213 games, but 47 of those games he won in the All-American Conference, which was years and years and years and years and years ago. Number 6 on the list is the first guy of the 2 guys that is still coaching today. That's Andy Reid, who has coached for 23 years so far and won 227 games, and he shows no signs of slowing down. And as good as the Chiefs are, if they continue this road they're on, he's going to easily eclipse 300 career wins, if not more, by the time he's all said and done. Recapping 10 through 6, number 10, Dan Reeves. Number 9, Chuck Knoll. Number 8, Marty Schottenheimer. Number 7, Paul Brown. And number 6, Andy Reid. The first one cracking the top 5 was Curly Lambeau. And you should know by the name Lambeau who he coached. He coached for 33 years, and he won 226 games. Number 4 on the list, a longtime coach of the Dallas Cowboys, back when the Cowboys actually won something and they had a reason to be America's team. Tom Landry, who coached 29 years and won exactly 250 games. And speaking of the Cowboys, I know they're 11-4 right now, and yours truly said back before the season started and after the first couple of weeks of the season that I thought the Cowboys had a pretty good chance to have a really good season, and I'll stick with it. I still don't think they're going to the Super Bowl, but I do think they actually have a chance to win some playoff games this year, which of course we know they've only won one playoff game in the last 25 years, but I continue to be impressed with Kellen Moore. But on with the countdown. Number 3 is the other guy on the list that still currently coaches, and that is Bill Belichick, who's coached 27 years and won 286 games. And the top 2 guys on the list both won more than 300 games. Number 2 was George Halas, who coached for 40 years, and he won 318 career games. And everybody knows who's number 1 on the list, and that is Don Shula, who coached for 33 years and won 328 games. And of course, he's still the only head coach to ever have an undefeated season in the NFL, because it looked like the Patriots were going to have one a few years back until they made it to the Super Bowl and then lost, but they did go undefeated in the regular season. And of course, Don's son, Mike Shula, is one of the many head coaches that Alabama had before Nick Saban took the job. And of course, he did get that job only because his last name was Shula, because he was absolutely hideous. And I know back at number 8, I talked about Marty Schottenheimer, and in case you do not know or do not remember, his son Brian was on the Georgia coaching staff there towards the end of the Mark Richt tenure in Athens, Georgia. Any thoughts on this top 10 countdown? Please feel free to let me know. I don't know how much longer Bill Belichick will coach, but Bill Belichick's probably going to coach for, I would say, 4 or 5 more years, so he should easily get to 300 wins. He may get to 300 next year if the Patriots are as good next year as they are this year. But Andy Reid still got a while to go, but he's a lot younger than Bill Belichick. So both of the current coaches should get to 300 career wins, which would give us 4 all-time NFL coaches with 300 wins, joining George Halas and Don Shula. And again, that list came from Rick Suter from the List Wire www.wrestling.com back on November the 18th. Let's go ahead and get our dad joke of the day in here. Someone has glued my pack of cards together. I don't know how to deal with it. And that wraps it up for today's Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Until next time, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over by the count of 3. Tell your friends and family how much you love them. Bye.